Hey, this is Brian from Currents, and you're listening to Interview Under Fire.
All right, so Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today on Interview Under Fire. Big month up ahead for you guys. How's your mind been lately? Like, with this pandemic and everything, and how have things been for you and your band? How long have you guys been on lockdown?
Yeah, trying to hold it together. We're, we had some kind of roadblocks along the way, considering, all, like cancellations and a lot of uncertainty in the industry. But we're holding together fine. We're all just trying to stay busy, and I check on the guys every once in a while when I get a chance. And mostly just kind of been trying to reconnect with being home and do stuff around here and get some stuff done that's been kind of long overdue in the personal life,
Yeah. So being stuck at home, like we all are, how are you keeping up with your vocals? Do you live in a place where you can just, crank the volume up and just do whatever you want, or you don't want to scare the neighbors or anything like that?
Yeah, kind of. When we're not touring, I usually kind of take it easy. I'll sing something along in the car, or maybe I'll practice. I'll practice singing much more than I'll practice screaming when we're in a home setting, because usually we get to I've just screamed for so long that I'm confident that it's gonna stay there. But singing, I feel like I have to stay on top of more, because I start to kind of get rusty.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to speak for the fan aspect of me, because you got your highs and you got your vocals, but your cleans, and then you have your lows, which I think you just absolutely nailed. You don't want to of course you don't want to scare the neighbors, saying how progressive your vocals have been. So, but that's good. You're staying on top of that. Anything new you've discovered about yourself? Does this pandemic open up new things for you personally and artistically, maybe you have not noticed before? And you were technically 2 months into this whole thing right now.
Yeah, we're still navigating. We're doing a little project in our downstairs where we're tearing apart our living room, and it's an extra living room with a little side room, and it's own bathroom. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of section it off and remodel it, and then I'm gonna move down there instead of being in this room. And so
okay.
I having to do a lot of stuff with my hands now, measure things, and my dad's a carpenter, so I remember a lot of it. I kind of retained as much as I could, but I was a little worried about going in on this project. Just me and my mom are down there kind of doing it, and
yeah,
it's actually not going so bad. We're making some progress. I'm this is not that bad. So my mind is on kind of other things right now too, along with getting the record going and trying to promote that as much as possible. It's a busy time, and it's kind of funny that it has nothing to do with the band or vocals or anything,
But sometimes that's a good thing. It's a good way to, just take a step back and maybe just focus on something else that can maybe improve yourself, a lot of the, one of the common things that I hear from musicians and artists like yourself is cooking. How has that been? Have you been involved in that also?
Honestly, dude, yeah, I've been doing, me and my girlfriend will we don't cook too much, we cook when we can. We'll make breakfast or something. Dinner's a little difficult because we both are kind of in big shared households and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but we've been baking, and we made some cookies the other day, and they're pretty sweet. We're doing little hand projects, these little guys resin casting old coasters and stuff, and making them into more permanent coasters and stuff. Just doing a lot of stuff with the hands, trying to just make things and just do little projects for fun, so we don't go insane.
What's on the menu today?
I don't know. I just made I just had a ham sandwich on toast with some some lettuce. Nothing crazy today. I don't feel like cooking today, honestly.
I was thinking like maybe, you know, a lot of these artists also are going like live and stuff like that to engage with fans. I don't know. Maybe it's something come like cooking with Brian. Come on, Instagram live, and all the fans will be
Cooking
just
with Brian.
Just an idea, just to throw out there.
I was thinking about streaming.
Yeah,
some kind of streaming project I feel like would be fun. Like I literally just downloaded OBS right now, which is just like I don't know how much you know about like that kind of world, but I have heard that it's like one of the more simple kind of things to record like screen capture stuff. I don't have a capture card or anything, but one step at a time, just try to learn like the software and stuff.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. My older brother is actually a vocalist. He plays in like a few bands up in Oklahoma, and there's so much for him to get his hands on, and all these software. Just it's a good way to actually just keep engaged. I'm glad you're doing that. It's it's pretty challenging for us to find something to do during this time, considering how the digital age, everything you can just kind of it's so easy to stay busy nowadays. You're home. It's like, oh, now what? And it's a good thing to be productive, and if you can find a way to do that, that's a really good way to go. So before we go into the live streaming, I wanted to talk about the way it ends for a little bit. I mean, we're going to talk about it a little bit more, but there's been some bands, like Lamb of God, Enslaved, for example. They've been pushing their releases much later this year than what the original intended date was. But then there are other bands like Trivium, Black Dahlia Murder. They have actually stuck to the schedule. Has that crossed your mind? Like, should we stick to the schedule? Should we move it? Is that something that's up to you, or is that up to Sharptone? Like, how does that work out?
I think it was kind of a mutual understanding of, I understand when, I understand that there's bands that are pushing things back and trying to, kind of salvage album releases because they're worried about it not performing as well as it would. Maybe the numbers aren't as good as they would be if they were, in a non-pandemic situation.
Yeah.
But I think it was kind of a mutual understanding between us and Sharptone that just wasn't really applicable to our situation. It's kind of a thing where the record has been the final tracking was done last summer. Like we finished the vocals in July, sent it out for mixing, mastering. Like it's been done for a while. We were telling kids on tour that we had an album that was done. We were getting final mixes and masters back last year, and like then we start kind of like trickling songs out. Like we released Second Skin, we released Poverty of Self, to go along with like tours that we were doing. And this whole pandemic thing was nowhere really in the radar of becoming what it is now. And like we start having shows get canceled. We start hearing that like tours are getting shut down, bands are getting everything is just going on lockdown.
Yeah.
And it was sort of this kind of thing where we're already just like, well, we're already like so far along. Like we have 2 singles out already that we're, trying to get the excitement going for the record. The momentum was already there. I have kids that are asking us on the current tour here in February about the album I told them about last summer.
Yeah.
Like fans knew about it already. The promotion was already there. Everything was already lined up. And just knowing everything that like a really close fans would know, if we pushed the record back anymore, I think it would have been like kind of detrimental to our momentum. So, and we would lose credibility in like a lot of our core fans too, that like already know the record is there. It was already kind of a situation where it was pushed back to the summer to make it line up better with some other stuff. And it was kind of just this like, well, this is our situation. We're not pushing it back anymore. just full send it and keep rolling. Because the other thing too is there were bands that were also like continuing to release music, and we saw that they were doing great. So
Yeah.
we didn't want to let it stop us.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. It's challenging, and I can't imagine as an artist, having to stick to a deadline, and with everything changing in the world, do you change your plans as a professional? That's where the challenge lies. Now, you talked about going live streaming. I think you guys did a Q&A the other day, correct? I think it was 2 days ago or something like that on Instagram. How did that go?
Yeah. So we did that last night, and that was something.
Okay.
It's kind of a new platform that SoundRank. They're for people who don't know, SoundRank is like a VIP company. If you've ever bought like a meet and greet package for like a one of your favorite bands, it's very likely that you saw the SoundRank logo. You see band guys wearing it all the time. They're they're just they facilitate VIP experiences for concert goers and for the the bands as well, and they kind of guide that whole process. And they're starting a new venture called SoundRank Live, where they take bands and they have them, all 5 of them on kind of like a Zoom call sort of thing.
Okay.
Where it streams on multiple platforms all at one time. And I think it's super cool. We did it yesterday, but they also have like Dance Heaven Dance on there. They had Enterprise Earth on there, and I think they have a few more bands lined up. But we did that yesterday, and it was pretty sure. No, you're right. It was the day before yesterday. But I thought it went super well, and I think that live streaming is probably like aside from podcasts, it's probably the best way to get in there and connect with people, because they can literally ask you a question. You're right there live in real time, and not even ask you a question. They can just kind of hang out with you and kind of get a vibe of who you are as a person, and you're kind of they get to know more about you than they would otherwise. So I think it's great, and we would love to do more stuff like that.
So let me follow up with that. Do you think, as an artist, the quarantine-induced live streaming surge is going to affect the touring musician business going forward? Because like yourself, you were online, you did the live Q&A a couple of days ago. You've also seen bands like Code Orange do the whole live gig with nobody in the venue. And, a lot of fans had access to that. I thought that was a very unique way to go about it. And I think there are other bands who are actually jumping on that same boat. What's your opinion about that? Like the future wise,
I think that there can be like a really cool future in that. I don't see it becoming a like a permanent new main way that people consume live music. I see it being a supplement, and I see it being kind of a another option. Maybe it stops here. Who knows? But I think that there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with it, and it's going to raise the bar. Like Code Orange raised the bar, and they set a fantastic kind of template for bands to do a similar thing. Because I watched that live stream, and they had their whole backdrop, like it was like a bunch of
the entire presentation
with all these creepy doomy images, and it was such a cool presentation. And there was times where it would kind of fade onto the screen, and you didn't see them playing, you just saw what was going on in the background. I think that there's an opportunity to have like a really cool like audio and visual experience with that, while also being able to maybe take a step back too in between the songs and try to interact with the people that are watching. I think that there's a lot of there's almost infinite potential if you have the infrastructure to do it. And I hope that it becomes like a more widely accessible thing. Like we're trying to figure out a way to do it too. I think everyone's trying to kind of find the right way to make something like that happen. But, time will tell.
Yeah, I have bands who are saying, well, yeah, we can still do the live streaming surge maybe in the future, but it's not the same. Like it's different if I see Currents right in front of me as opposed to watching you guys, do like a live concert, streaming wise. You just don't get that energy like if you were to sit in front of a computer as opposed to being in front of the stage. But, it's different. Like let's say you do a show here, but then you sell a ticket virtually to somebody overseas who maybe doesn't have access to seeing you, like doing a festival here or maybe a festival in Europe or something like that. I don't know. You know, it's maybe it's a hit or miss situation, but I think it's only you know, trial by error right now. Like see what happens going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, you know, see what happens.
Yeah. So about the way it ends, I cannot wait for this release. You know, this is your second full length album, Currents. Now, I wanted to talk about what was so. This is your second work of art that you did with Ryan LeTrue, right? Because you worked on the previous EP, I Let the Devil In.
Yep.
Yeah. So is that something you're going to stick with?
Mm-hmm.
You know, sticking with the Brian maybe going forward in the future? How did that go? Like, you found your producer, and you did another record with them. How do you feel going forward?
We're gonna do whatever like feels the best for the band. I feel like writing new music and going into the next album process is kind of far out of our minds right now with everything going on and you know, hitting this momentum with you know, the record now. But Ryan is like just one of the best and most creative people that I can think of, and I would love to have him involved with us in the future. It's kind of a situation where, so we started with Ryan LeTrue. He was actually a suggestion from Sean, who's the who owns and operates Sharptone Records, and I guess they had a history before because Ryan would like work with Sean when he was doing For Today stuff.
Yeah,
and he recommended Ryan to us, and it was kind of just like this perfect fit where he was this, you know, he's a guy who has literally like done it all. He's seen it all. He has been through just the most ridiculous stuff you can think of. Like any worst case scenario, this person has had to kind of like live through it and like persevere through it. And so he's just and he's extremely intelligent too. He was like the guy for Today, you know? And he was just super like influential and like full of advice and knowledge and just like really valuable information. We actually saw him it was the last day of that Silent Planet tour. We went home like right after, but we got to like hang and catch up with him a little bit. But yeah, he's incredible, and I think he brought something to our kind of creative process that we really needed. We needed somebody that could go in and really criticize everything and just look at it with a fine-tooth comb and just punish it. And that was exactly what went down, you know?
Hey man, criticism is I welcome it with open arms. You know, it's not like the easiest thing you can admit to, but I think we all need it at some point in our lives. Now, I wanted to talk about those singles, man. So you guys released. So here's it's crazy. I don't know if you've seen like reaction videos to the music you put out. I've been watching them. It's great. I love it because it was my same reaction. When you released Poverty of Self, I heard the same common denominator with all these reactions. This is Currents, but this isn't Currents, because it was just a darker, heavier side that I heard. I don't think I've ever heard that side from you guys. What came to picking those singles in order? Because it went from Poverty to Self, and I think to Second Skin, and then A Flag to Wave. I know the last two came after. So why pick those as singles? Who came up with that decision? Because you guys, of course, you blew me away. You know, that's for one example with that first single. How did that come about?
It's kind of so Poverty of Self is really the only song like it on the record. I feel like every song is very unique, and I wouldn't really compare any of them to each other because they all have such different elements going on. Yeah. But Poverty of Self is like the clear outlier on the heavy side, and it's kind of it's kind of like the limiter of how far it goes on that tip, you know? Like it's got insane blast beats, crazy lows, not a single singing note in the whole song. And we thought that you know, it's funny, we have our friends in Fit for a King, right? And,
great band.
We do this. Oh yeah, they're awesome. We did a tour with them where they played this song Shattered Glass, and it was not a single on their record, but it was the first song that they chose to introduce to the world for their new album, Dark Skies. So they were playing Shattered Glass on this tour, and it just went so ridiculously hard, and it was just exactly what you wanted in like a live song. It had all the kind of momentum, it had the lead ups, it had everything there, and it just worked so well live. And I just thought that was like the smartest thing ever, because it's like, you know, even if it is not your most dynamic song, even if it's not your most you know, maybe it doesn't have the craziest chorus in the world, like there's something to kind of having a song that goes really hard live and putting that out. Like we were on a tour with August Burns Red in Europe.
Another great band.
The idea was the best. And so it was like we wanted to go in and have like a much more kind of metal song to go in on that tour with, because we just wanted to kind of, you know, fit the bill, you know. And we thought that releasing Poverty of Self, it's a new song off the record. No one's gonna know it, but it'll go hard live. Like, we know it'll have a good reaction. People will be excited. It has a lot of opportunities for crowd interaction, and you don't have to know any of the words. And then you have the end of the song, which is just this how low can we go sort of thing.
So man, you're talking about doing mosh pits in your bedroom. That's definitely the part of the song that could make me want to do that. That was absolutely brutal. Chris
sent the instrumental for that, and I was just like, dude, like, that is like it disgusting. And I just thought, it's like, oh great, I can just go in there and do my thing. I used to do lows. That was how I started as a vocalist. I was always into like deathcore, and before I could figure out anything else, I could figure out how to just get like lower pitched sounds, and then everything else kind of came after once I understood the mechanics a little more. But you know, I always love getting to go in there and do lows. Is my favorite thing, and it's hard to make them shine too, especially with Currents. We've never really had the opportunity, and we finally got the chance, so it's nice. I like that song a lot.
That's my favorite song so far that you guys have ever released. You know, of course I have a few other favorites, but of course that's the fan in me. I'm gonna, you know, just get that out of the way, because the way you I don't know how you did. The way you got to your lows, man, you have your endorser right here. So if you do that in any time in the future, you know, I'm all for it. That's great. Now, you talked about Chris. Now, he's also in Shadow of Intent. Does him being one of the main songwriters with you guys and with Shadow of Intent, does that bring a different element? Does that allow Currents to expand more, you know, beyond where you guys are at right now? Having someone like Chris, you know?
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, because I think it changes the trajectory of the band a little bit, because he has Shadow of Intent. Yeah. There are certain things that he'll do for Shadow of Intent that he'll steer clear of in Currents, because he doesn't want them to be like the same thing. And then it's vice versa, you know, like, because Shadow of Intent has like clean singing. They have choruses. They have really melodic elements to the band, aside from like all the, like, you know, all the symphonic stuff. And so I think it kind of pushes him to spread them even farther apart, you know? Like, as much as I like the heavy aspects of Currents, and I love heavy music, and I would love to have like a really heavy version of Currents, you also don't want to hear like Currents of Intent. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have that like comparison where there's just like a bleed of the two bands, which I really wouldn't mind, because I love Shadow of Intent, and I love having like, you know, I love heavy music, and I think it just it further kind of not limits things, but sets kind of like a guideline for where things are going to go. Like, it's going to be a different kind of heavy, it's going to be a different kind of melodic than what he would bring in his other project.
So the field of these bands that we have mentioned, you know, metalcore, but you could just put a bunch of other names in there. There's so many bands, you know, and you've seen it saturates the field. what do you believe, you be straightforward. What do you believe that makes Currents stand out from all these bands who are just like coming out at the same time? And you guys are coming out on the scene and like with guns blazing with all of your releases you have, and the new one that's coming out. I believe it's gonna be one of the hits of the year. August Burns Red already, released one this year. Why not follow it up with one of yours? It'd be just an amazing duo. But just the term metalcore, like just that entire world of just metal. Like I just wanted to hear from your end, like what makes you guys stand out?
I think it's that Chris doesn't write the way anyone else does. And he's always trying to push himself to be more and more dynamic every time. He doesn't approach guitar like other people. He doesn't like there's nobody like him, and I think that there's nobody that can really mimic what he does. Maybe they can maybe they can, but by the time somebody copies something he does, he's already on to the next thing anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I think having him is just that helps us stand out. And the other thing is that we punish our lyrics. Like we make sure that the lyrics are always as good as they can be. We want to have every song have like a really cohesive meaning. Every song has to have its own identity. Every line has to kind of build into that identity. And it's an ongoing process, but for me personally, like lyrics have always been, if I'm going to bring something to the band that like that's what it is.
2011 when Currents formed, since then the band has gone through lineup changes and releasing singles and EPs. Does it feel like you guys have maybe found your stride now that you have found a producer, now that you have someone like Chris who can actually give you a different element to even take advantage of and, blow fans like me away? How does it feel? Like, does it feel like you guys found your, you were just talking about it, you found your sound, found your identity, as so you were speaking of?
Maybe. I feel like everything is so kind of subject to growth and change. Who's to say where we're going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, the kind of stuff that we're going to want to play, like the way that we're going to approach songwriting and lyric writing. Like, what am I going to want to sing about like a year and a half from now, 2 years from now, that I'm going to be able to look back on and still enjoy and not kind of like, it's hard to say, because I feel like we've set the groundwork in a way, right? And we're just going to have to see where it goes from here. I think we're still always like exploring new elements and trying to incorporate things. Like, I think I guess a good way to put it is we will introduce something on one record, and then on the next record we will have maybe we've mastered that thing, or we've hit the nail on the head better with that one thing, but now we've added another thing too. Yeah. And so by the next release, that will be much more put together, as well as this other thing that we've been doing the whole time, but now maybe there's something else in here too. And so I think it's always going to be a process of adding one thing after nailing one thing, and then adding one thing and nailing the thing before it. So we always want to add new things and expand. Chris says expand the dynamic range, and I think that's always going to be kind of
expanded dynamic range. Let's quote him on that. That sound. Does it help touring with bands like August Burns Red, North Lane, Miss May I, As I Lay Dying? Like the list goes on for you guys. Like having those, like having to tour with those bands. Does it give you guys kind of an idea? Okay, this is where we want to go. We've toured with all these bands. They're giving us an idea. And I know that touring with those bands, because they're up, they've been around for a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. You've seen all these new fans that you guys are bringing in year and year out. And then, with this new release coming up, I'm sure the fan base is only going to get bigger. It's, I know it's a very open-ended question, but does it help touring with those bands, or does it matter? wouldn't even matter for a band like Currents to tour with someone like August Burns Red?
I think it matters for sure because we get to meet those people and we get to kind of see the people behind our favorite bands.
Yeah.
These are all trailblazers. You talk about Miss May I, August Burns Red, As I Lay Dying, We Came as Romans, like all these guys, right? They're all like, I listened to all those bands growing up. I'm in high school listening to like, As I Lay Dying songs on the bus and August Burns Red songs and everything. I'm looking up vocal covers of Composure and trying to learn how to scream. You know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah.
They're really formative bands for us. And it's freaking weird to like tour with them, but you also kind of get to see a little bit of how they are and you get to learn a little bit about them. And, you see them in a new light now. But the thing about all those bands is that they're all very consistent. Like they've put out consistent music with a very clear, defined sound for the entirety of their careers. But then you have another band like Architects, right? Where I really don't think like like Hollow Crown Architects. I like old Architects, but I don't think they really found their stride until Lost Forever, Lost Together. That was when things kind of were just, okay, all of the elements are here. This is the structure. This is the sound. This is it. Like this is the stride. And that was when it really started to resonate with people. And they were just, because I feel like they were in the scene for years.
Yeah,
I saw them on Warped Tour.
I think they have 7 or 8 albums, something like that. Probably even more than that, actually.
Right, and it's funny that in like more recent years, it's when people really caught on. It's like, wow, this band's been here the whole time. They're amazing, And not to say that they didn't have fans before those albums, but that was when things really started to like move for them. And it kind of just goes to show, it's like, there's no time limit, there's no rush. It's just you're running your own race and you're doing it because you like it, and you're just always learning and trying to evolve. So, who's to say when we're gonna really feel like we found our stride?
Yeah, I mean that's a great answer. It's but I think it's really unique the way you guys are entering the scene because you have all these trailblazers who you guys are touring with. I think it's great that it's benefiting someone like you guys, and you guys have all the talent in the world to go as far as possible, maybe even beyond the trailblazers we speak of. So ironic, you talked about Composure. That's the first August Burns Red song I ever heard, and
oh yeah,
and,
it's a banger, dude.
It's it takes me back. It takes me back. So have your aspirations as a person or even an artist, have they evolved since you first started just in this industry or just in music in general? To where you are now, do you see things differently?
Oh, I see things so differently. It's kind of insane because your perception of how this world kind of works always changes, and the way that you approach it always changes. When you're a local band, when you think that like one particular thing is much more than it is, and you don't really see things the way that they really are, because why would you? It's not clear. It's not a transparent thing. It is. And when people say like, music is a business, it is, but you also have to try as hard as you possibly can to have that aspect not dominate everything, and to be able to shut it off and just be a band guy. You know what I mean? Like, instead of somebody who's like, running a business. And
there are people who run the business who it's only about the business, and nothing else in between. I think that kind of just, I don't know, that kind of makes things stale in a way. And I think there's a passion. I think people need to have a passion in this industry to do what they want to do.
Yeah. When it gets cold, it's not fun anymore. And like, it's funny because like when you're younger, you like kind of resent the entire business aspect because you're like, well, it comes down to like, it comes down to like the silliest stuff in your mind, but it's all stuff that matters. And when you kind of meet the people behind the scenes and you see what they're looking for and what they need, a lot of the numbers that you're talking about are like just kind of guidelines. I remember, at one time I thought it was like, oh, first week sales are like everything. You need good first week sales, and that's how you get the good tours. We had our first record with Sharptone, and we finished it, and we went to put it out, and they straight up they went to us and they're like, listen, we don't care. We don't care about your first week's numbers. We know this record is good. We're gonna push you guys like, just as much as how
Yeah.
whatever you sell in this first 2 weeks, try not to sweat it. You're gonna get the push either way, and
I mean, there's also streaming. Streaming is, I think it's also a big deal.
yeah, that was another thing too, where it's like, they were already kind of ahead of the game in that way, where they're like, what we really are looking at is like your streaming numbers, and those are doing great. So people are interested. People are they know about the band and they like the band, and the interest is growing. So don't worry about like a number that you get from like physical copies. That we were kind of around the time where that was really like just long dead.
Bro, I still buy records. so I think I actually did pre-order the way it ends. So I always make sure I actual physical copy, because there's a lot of work that goes behind like getting like the orders and the shipments and even the artwork in general. That's just I just think that's really important. I started a record label back in 2011 with two of my brothers, and I learned, this stuff is important. And I think it just goes a long way if people take the time to actually go out and buy records. Yeah, like you said, streaming is important. Of course, streaming is important, but I think that's getting the actual album is just as important as well, if not more.
Yeah, it's still a real thing, and it still is important. It's not everything. It's numbers wise, it's not everything for a band, because there's so many other factors. But it's a real industry. There's people that make the people that make a living on printing vinyl, printing CDs, getting all the artwork, just like everything. And it's still a real industry that helps a lot of people, and it's super important to pre-order records, buy records, keep that interest in physical copies going, because a lot of people make their livelihood on it, and it's important to make sure that those people stay in the picture.
Sharptone Records, I absolutely love how they're kind of just helping you guys out. I feel like they're making an example of how a label should help bands out in general. Do you feel that way? I see it. I see that as a great benefit. I mean, record labels are different here and there, but Sharptone, I believe they've really at least helped you guys direct your path, kind of opened so many doors for you, and you guys are taking advantage of that.
Yeah, they have been they've been super awesome to us, pretty much every step of the way. And I feel like we're kind of an example of like improvement for sure, because everything was there, we were all there, like making music. Music has always been like the important thing, but it does show how important it is to have that kind of backing and have that support. And it's a thing where they've always been like a resource for us. They've always been like, Sean has always been like pushing, he'll push for us to get on tours. He'll suggest staff and crew and all that kind of stuff. They're very, like, he's very hands-on with his bands, and he pretty much works with our management, our agent, and everything to make sure that everything is moving in the right direction. And we pretty much see eye to eye on everything. I'll go a while without talking to Sean, and it'll be a lot of like back and forth, like phone calls and conferences between him and our manager. And then by the time I get to actually like talk to Sean about something, I'm like, oh my God, we see this the exact same way. That's crazy.
Just pick up where you guys left off, right?
Yeah. Pick up where we left off.
Good.
I'm like, yep, he's still extremely smart and reasonable. And we just so happen to agree. That's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. So before I got just a couple more questions for you. So one important question that I wanted to get to, you guys have been touring a lot extensively. What was your favorite part about touring? Now you kind of just get a just a break from everything. Not that we asked for a break. We're all here anyway, but kind of take a step back and take a look at just your past, your touring. What was your favorite part about it? There's just so many things you could do: fans, food, everything else in between.
Whew. Yeah, I miss a lot of friends that we'll see in different parts of the country. I miss food for sure. We're a big food band. We're always trying to find different restaurants and food spots and all that. I miss getting to tour with, I miss getting to like meet like-minded people and connect with like other touring bands, and especially like people that are kind of in the same kind of realm as us in a similar place, and then people who have kind of gone above and beyond where we're at. And so we get to kind of we get to learn from like the older guys, and then we get to kind of like be on the same level with like everybody and just be like, oh my God, like I can't believe this, or did you know this, or like you just getting to kind of like be with people that have the same interests as you, and have like kind of the same vision for their future. They just want to like play music and travel and have fun. It's it's a bummer. Like I just keep thinking of like our friends in like Invent Animate and like Greyhaven and Silent Planet.
Oh yeah, they just released a new album too.
Yeah. Invent, I love those guys. They their new album is sweet, and it was just like, it was cool getting to like hang out with them, because they were laying low for like a long time, and that was their first tour back in years, and so it was just fun to like hang out with them, and they're kind of getting reacclimated to like the music scene a little bit, and we've kind of been like learning things, but they know they're a little more seasoned, but are still kind of like trying to get back into the swing of things. And so it was like a nice pairing, because we still got to like learn from them while also kind of getting to like mutually help each other out a little bit whenever we could.
It's a little weird, isn't it, knowing that we're home, but it's hard not to think that, man, it's just me, but everybody else is actually going through the same thing too. It's the bands. We talked about a bunch of bands already in this interview. They're sitting at home just like us. It's hard to think that it's like what do we do? Like it's everything kind of just took a pause, and I don't know. We just gotta keep it going, bro. And I'm glad you guys are sticking to the schedule. And because some bands, like you've said, it's benefited them. I think some of those bands we mentioned, they even ended up on like the Billboard Top 50 or something like that. And there's so many charts that you guys can just take a hold of.
Did you see the Black Dahlia Murder had the number 4 album in the US?
I think it was Black Dahlia Murder. I think Trivium was also on that list. It's crazy. I just love that. I love that. And then I think they were behind like, I think who else was on that list? Billie Eilish was on that list, and a few other pop artists. It was kind of weird to see like those
lists are so strange too, though, because it'll be like it always reminds me of like the iTunes, like the metal charts, right? You'll be like, oh my God, we're number 4 on the metal charts, but what's above you is like Metallica's The Black Album. Like, okay, sounds good. Or like
that's good enough for us.
Yeah, and it's like, it's the ones that are like in the top echelon. Maybe it's an album that came out like 20 years ago or something. Like, of course they're gonna have more sales. People are just buying it every whatever like minute, but it's like those charts are so funny in a way where I feel like they're accurate, but then they're also like a little odd. So I just thought that was so funny though.
I almost feel like after all this is over, they're gonna have like a quarantine list of like bands who released albums during this time, and like just a list of like all these bands who succeeded and just released these amount of albums. I don't know. I feel like something like that is gonna like
these crazy people. a list of crazy people.
What are they thinking? Releasing music while we're at home?
We're gonna be looked down on in like 2 years, and it's gonna be like all the guys that push their albums back, they're gonna be like, haha, joke's on you guys.
Man, let's hope this is over. So before we finish up, I want to ask, this is a really important question for me, because I get so many different answers. I actually have one constant answer, and I'll tell you after you answer this. If it was up to you, and technically it is up to you, Your favorite artist that you haven't collaborated with already. Who would you want to collaborate with?
I don't know.
Doesn't have to be metal. Doesn't have to be metal, by the way.
We're so in our own world that like we don't like having other people on our songs. It would be like it'd be cool to get like a female voice on like a song in the future, even if it's not like a Billie Eilish or something. Someone in that vein. I like Charlotte Lawrence a lot. She's really cool.
Go and plug that shout out in, man.
Chelsea Wolfe, you know.
Oh, she's actually one of my favorite artists. Great voice.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Man, that'd be interesting. Wow. Chelsea Wolfe and Brian on like a Currents record, something like that.
Or the vocalist of Spirit Box. That'd be really cool.
Spirit Box. I'll have to type this one in.
Yeah, dude. Spirit Box is sick.
I will look into that.
You will not be disappointed.
And if you weren't a musician, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
Oh, man. I was going to join the Marines after high school. That would have been...
Oh, man.
That would have been horrible, probably. I don't know if I would have enjoyed that.
You know, I was really close to joining the Air Force. I ended up going to film school instead. But still, I'm still glad with that decision. It was either the Air Force or the film school. But then, you know, they got back to me first. But it's crazy, like, how that ends up, too.
I have some kind of writing degree. I'd be like working at Whole Foods, working on like, you know, some kind of college degree in like the arts or writing or something silly like that, you know.
That's not silly at all.
Not to downer on it. I'm thinking about going back to school. I just don't know what I would do.
Yeah,
but I feel like it would have something to do with writing, and I don't know.
No, that's good. Hey, man, I'm in school. I went back to school, so I'm getting my degree in PR. So, and I'm doing this podcasting thing. I absolutely love talking to artists like you and a few others, you know. And it's, you know, I didn't think maybe a few years ago I'd be doing this, and now here I am getting close to my PR degree. And you know, it's not the worst thing. I know it's hard, bro. You know, like getting back into the swing of, I got to go to school. Oh man, is that a backpack? Like you see like things that you're so you grew up with, and now it's like you have to. I don't want you to feel like it's like a burden, because you do feel a whole different energy. You feel a whole different purpose now. And if you tell professors that, I'm just telling you right now, they love it. It helps you in the long run. And they're going to love you more than like their 18, 19-year-old person in the class, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Not to brag on those guys.
They'll be able to relate to you better. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
They'll be like, hey, this person's like out there kind of doing something, you know, and they're trying to better themselves, and they have a more clear path of what they want. The thing is, I would have absolutely no problem going to school if I had a clear kind of direction of what I wanted to do. Like I would kind of want to know what I was there for, you know?
Of course. And that's why I went back, because I knew what I wanted to do. You just go at your own pace.
Exactly.
Dude, you're with one of the upcoming metal bands. I think just go at your own pace, and I think the sky's the limit for Currents and for you as an artist. So, nothing but well wishes for you going forward. It's you got your biggest supporter right here. So, and it's gonna be good things going forward. Now, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. So, like we talked before the interview, I picked out a few songs. Let's see how well you know Currents. Brian from Currents. All right, so I'm going to go in random order. So I'm just going to call it a lyric. You just tell me what song it's from, okay?
I'm nervous. Let's do it.
All right. It's weird because I get artists who say they know everything. I think I've had
you'll pull out some weird
who got like nothing wrong. I remember I interviewed Trivium, and Corey was like, no, I don't think I'll get any of these songs. He got every single song.
I feel like I'm gonna be like, crush it, and then I'm gonna be like, what song is that?
All right, here we go. There's nothing there to hold me back. I'm not defined by the things I lack.
Guys.
Oh wow, see, you got this, man. Look at you. All right,
that's recent.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, this one's good. I actually really like this one. It doesn't get enough recognition. I creep in the depths, never to be seen. You will become who you were meant to be. I am the nightmare. Yeah, man, I threw it way back. That's good, man. You got that one. Okay.
I had to learn that one.
This next one is actually my favorite off of this record. Indifferent, I guess. I just bear the mark on my chest. When I'm thrown away, I'll have somewhere new to be.
That's the rope. We play that live too.
Sounds great live. You guys are one of the bands that actually, it sounds exactly like it is in the studio.
That's good.
It's a very good thing. What is my purpose? What do you want of me? Show me a sign. Show me a way. Show me who I'm meant to be.
Is that Solace?
Yeah. Good one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's
dude.
Off of,
I haven't heard Solace in freaking. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's from the
I didn't even
Victimized EP.
Dude, that's so old that we've never played it. I never played it live with the band. Like,
interesting. Now I'm making you think, like, trying to recalibrate
the
set list.
Show me the way. I knew "Show Me the Way," and I was like, "That's Solace."
Yeah, that's from that 2013, I believe, was when it came out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, I think I'm giving this one away. I hope you scream when you hear my name. There's no place on this earth that you can escape. I hope you're lost, that you never find peace.
That is Night Terrors.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Boom,
I let the devil in. Okay. Got a few more. Okay. I see the lies embedded in sin, cast down from the sky into a hell within foreign tongues.
Heathen.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew you would get this. There's like every day is the same. Every day is the same dark feeling. Time's fleeting. Anger's leaving me. It's getting harder to relate and release.
Withered.
Yep. You know, I was thinking of maybe getting some of the new songs, but that'd be too.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, what?
It's like I would have put myself at a loss. Like you would get all those. I'm surrounding my mind with these thoughts of you. It isn't everything that I see.
These thoughts of you is everything that I see. It's either it's either Rose, Euphoria, maybe My Promise Kept. My Promise Kept, yeah, My Promise Kept. That's another one I didn't get to play with the band live, but I like the end of that song.
What came before? Was there anything else before the Victimized EP?
There was this song called there was Annalise before Victimized, and
besides
there was this song called King of Catastrophe, and it was like a demo that they recorded. I don't remember who they recorded it with. I don't know any of the lyrics. I just know the name of the song. But if you look up, I wonder if it was still under Currents. So maybe it was We Came with Plague. But if you look up Currents King of Catastrophe, it might come up on YouTube. Like it might, but I don't know if it will.
You're gonna have all these people searching after they hear this podcast. Like, what?
Yeah, that would be. You know how old that is? That's like when Facebook had the embedded music player. You know, like you would go onto Facebook and
I know.
Like,
I remember MySpace. I remember MySpace had one.
Yeah, MySpace definitely had one.
You could just do that one. You remember that? You could just do that one song on the side.
Yeah, you could have like one song, and yeah, Facebook had one, but it was like the super janky freaking like thing. You know, you could have like, I think you could have more than one, but usually people, it was like a local band, they'd have like a single on there.
Man, this is way back. You're talking way back. This is
easily like 2000. Like they said the band started in 2011. I feel like that might have been like 2010, 2011 maybe.
Probably even before that, actually.
Like before they were willing to admit that the band was like doing anything.
King of Catastrophe. Okay, I'm putting that down too.
I think I could be wrong, but I think the line "Show Me the Way" is in that song too. It's like "Show me the way." But
all right, this is the last one. It is all I see between you and me. It takes me away and sweeps me off my feet.
Is that Euphoria?
Yeah.
Yeah, Euphoria.
Off of Life Lost.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Awesome, man. This was great. You got all of. Did you get all of them? Yeah, you got all of them.
I got all of them. I guessed 2 wrong on one, but then I got it. So it's like I'd say like 90, 98.
You maybe have gotten just a little bit of help on one of them.
Yeah.
So before we finish up, Brian, anything else you want to promote? Just any shout outs just before we finish this up?
Yeah. Shout out to my guys. I miss all of you. The Way It Ends is out June 5th through Sharptone Records. You can pre-order the record on currentsofficial.com. You can also get pre-order packages on Sharptone Records merch store. If you're from like the EU or UK, you can get it from Empiricon. If you like the band a lot, you can go to currentsofficial.com and you can sign up for our newsletter every Friday. It's Friday, isn't it?
It is Friday.
Newsletter. So we gotta put the newsletter out. But yeah, every Friday we put out a Currents newsletter now. So you can sign up for that at currentsofficial.com. Go down to the bottom of the page and put your email in, and you'll get a weekly update on the band.
And everyone that's listening right now, don't forget you can listen to this podcast on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, every major podcast app out there. This is Brian from Currents, and don't forget to pick up The Way It Ends out on June 5th, Sharptone Records. Support these guys. They will be on the road ASAP, and you will not want to miss it. Brian, thanks again, brother. Hopefully we can do this again in person.
Hey, yeah, absolutely, man. I hope we do.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. And also, if you guys have any questions or comments, you can find us at Interview Under Fire at Facebook or at Instagram. Or you can write us directly at schwag@interviewunderfire.com. That's SCHWAG at interviewunderfire.com. Or Rezablade. That's REZABLADE at interviewunderfire.